Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have come to believe. Thomas is one of the disciples whose words we actually hear in John's Gospel. He's named as Thomas the twin, so he would have perhaps been the second-born twin, as the first-born twin was never referred to as a twin. Tradition has credited Thomas with taking Christianity to India in 52 AD, and in Chennai, formerly Madras, can be found the Basilica of St. Thomas. Christianity continues to grow in India to this day. Thomas is usually known, of course, as Doubting Thomas. I'm not sure just how accurate this title is, as it assumes that Thomas doubts in the risen Lord. But does he? Or is it rather in the words and witness of the other disciples in which Thomas doubts? Thomas, for some reason, was not in the room when Jesus appeared to the disciples, and when he speaks with them, he simply doesn't find their story creditable. Thomas is outspoken. Thomas is not afraid to say what he thinks. Thomas is not afraid to ask the question which others do not dare to ask. Thomas is not afraid to say that he does not understand. When Jesus is asked to go to Bethany by Mary and Martha because their brother Lazarus is very ill, Jesus decides to go to his friends, knowing that this could be a dangerous journey for him to make, as the Jewish authorities are on the lookout for him. It is Thomas who says, "Let us go to die with him." Thomas, loyal and fearless. Thomas, who is ready and willing to follow, even if it means walking into danger. In St. John's account of the Last Supper, we hear of Jesus speaking to the disciples of how he is to die and what is to come. He tells them, "Where I am going, you cannot follow now, but you will follow later." Peter says, "I will follow you, I will die for you." Jesus tells him that before the dawning of the new day, before the cock crows, that Peter will deny knowing him 3 times. Jesus then says to the disciples, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in me. I am going ahead to prepare a place for you, but I will return and take you to myself so that you can be with me, and you know the place to where I am going." It is obvious that the disciples do not really understand what Jesus is saying. It is Thomas who puts the others' thoughts into words when he blurts out, "Lord, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way?" Jesus replies, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." Thomas does not understand, so he asks the question. Thomas, blunt and to the point. In the locked room, which you can read about in John 20, beginning at verse 19, in that locked room in which Jesus has appeared after his crucifixion and burial to the disciples, perhaps Thomas does not believe his friends when they tell him that they have seen Jesus, because they do not quite believe what they have seen themselves. They have locked themselves away in the fear that they too may be arrested and put to death. And yet after having, as they say, seen Jesus alive, they still have fear written on their faces. Thomas, straight talking and unafraid to say what he thinks, tells them that he does not believe them. However, when Jesus appears in the room again, and Thomas comes face to face with his risen Lord, he looks at Jesus and speaks 5 unforgettable words of belief. "My Lord and my God." In these simple yet powerful words, you know for certain that Jesus has risen from the dead. Here we see Thomas, the man of faith. There is no doubt here, only certainty. St. Thomas, in a way, represents most of us. He stands for all who have at times found it difficult to believe, for all who have had their faith tested. As Thomas stands in that room, he no longer needs to have the scientific evidence in order to believe. He knows. He is convinced. The words at the Last Supper now make sense. Doubt is transformed into faith. I have the idea that as Jesus leaves the disciples alone once more in that room, that it is Thomas who unlocks the door and throws the door wide open to enable him and his disciples to walk out into the light of a new day. We're told by John that the next time Thomas and the others will meet Jesus is when Jesus appears to them in Galilee, when he will leave them confident to follow in his footsteps and to take his good news out into the world, and in so doing to begin the seeds of growth which will result in people meeting in church today and whenever they meet. This is the victory of faith over doubt. This is the church. It was only after thinking about Thomas that the news of the Duke of Edinburgh's death was announced yesterday. And as I listened to people's recollections, memories and reminiscences, I began to think that Prince Philip possessed some of the same qualities as Thomas. Questioning, outspoken, loyal, brave, but most of all, a man of deep faith. A man who, like Thomas, was not afraid to question, to ask, to explore, and in so doing to strengthen his faith. I had not realised until yesterday how important faith was to Prince Philip. We all can learn a lot from Thomas. Thomas, the disciple who asks the questions which we would have asked. Thomas, so human, so frail, and yet made so strong by faith. The certainty of Thomas can become our certainty, for as Jesus said to him, "Blessed are those who have not seen and have come to believe."